Alexei built the house the way soldiers build trust, slowly, carefully, knowing that a single mistake could ruin everything. 3 years of his life were poured into it. He laid the foundation himself, mixed the concrete, raised the walls brick by brick. His hands remembered every cut, every splinter, every night when he worked under a single hanging bulb because daylight was never enough. This house was not about comfort alone. It was about silence after war, about mornings without explosions, about Lena's laughter in the kitchen and little Katya's footsteps running across the wooden floor. After the hospital, after the months of pain and stubborn rehabilitation, Alexei needed proof that life could be rebuilt. The house became that proof. The 1990s didn't care. The first sign came on a dry afternoon when the dust on the road began to move unnaturally. Alexei straightened up from the workbench in the garage and listened. Engines, heavy, expensive, not local. 2 black SUVs turned off the highway and rolled toward his gate, crushing gravel with slow, deliberate confidence. They stopped less than a meter from the fence. The engines didn't shut off immediately, as if the vehicles themselves were deciding whether to attack. Alexei wiped his hands on his jeans and stepped out. 5 of them emerged, leather jackets, tracksuits, short haircuts, thick necks, the kind of bodies built not in gyms but in street fights and prison yards. They spread out near the fence, relaxed but alert, like dogs trained to bite on command. The one in the center stood still. He didn't look around much. He didn't need to. A scar cut through his eyebrow, freezing his face in a permanent half-snarl. Skull. Alexei had heard the name. Everyone had. Skull walked closer to the gate, slowly inspecting the house, the solid walls, the second floor, the veranda, the forest beginning right behind the plot. "Nice place," he said, voice low and rough. "Quiet, good air, good land." Alexei didn't open the gate. He met Skull's eyes without blinking. "What do you want?" Skull smiled, but it never reached his eyes. "Business. Open up. Let's talk like people." Alexei paused for a brief second. 5 of them. No visible weapons, but jackets hid many things. Lena and Katya were inside. He unlocked the gate and stepped out, closing it behind him. "Talk here." The smile faded. Skull stepped closer, invading his space. He smelled of tobacco, expensive cologne, and confidence bought with fear. "You don't seem to understand who I am," Skull said. "I'm Skull." "I know." "Good, then this will be simple." He nodded toward the house. "I like it. I'm planning a little recreation base here for friends. Bathhouse, games. You get the idea." "The house isn't for sale." "I'm not buying. I'm compensating." He named the amount. Alexei didn't react. The sum was laughable, an insult dressed as generosity. "You'll buy a small apartment in the city, panel building, warm, safe, and you'll leave." "No." The word fell flat and heavy. Skull blinked once. "What?" "No," Alexei repeated. "I'm not leaving. This is my house." Silence tightened the air. The men along the fence stopped pretending to be bored. Skull tilted his head, studying Alexei as if he were something unusual, something broken. "Are you stupid?" he asked softly, "or immortal?" "I said no." Skull leaned closer. "Then listen carefully. You have 1 week. 1. Next Saturday, I come back. If you're still here, you'll leave in a different way. The house will burn, with you inside, with whoever else is hiding there." Alexei felt something cold tighten in his chest. Not fear, focus. "Leave," he said, "and don't come back." Skull spat on the ground. 1 week. he turned away. As they walked back to the SUVs, one of the men, a tall one, picked up a stone and hurled it at the house. Glass shattered. The sound cut through the yard like a scream. "Advance payment!" the man laughed. The engines roared, dust rose, and the vehicles disappeared down the road. Alexei stood still long after the noise faded. Then he turned toward the broken window. Behind the torn curtain, Lena's pale face vanished. The war he thought he'd left behind had found him again. Alexei fixed the broken window before sunset, working slowly, deliberately, as if nothing unusual had happened. From the road, his house still looked peaceful. Quiet smoke from the chimney, tools neatly arranged, a man minding his own business. That illusion mattered. Inside, Lena moved restlessly, her eyes returning again and again to the yard. Katja sat on the floor with her toys, sensing fear she was too young to understand. "Who were those men really?" Lena asked softly. "People who mistake silence for weakness," Alexei answered. That night, after Katja finally fell asleep, he made his decision. By dawn, Lena and Katja were gone. He drove them more than 100 kilometers away, to a forgotten village where roads dissolved into mud and strangers were noticed immediately. Lena cried quietly, holding his sleeve as if letting go might make him disappear forever. "Please," she whispered, "leave the house, leave everything." "If I leave now," Alexei said calmly, "they'll follow us all our lives. This ends here." When he returned, the house felt different, empty, lighter, honest. Alexei brewed strong tea and sat at the kitchen table with a blank sheet of paper. He drew the house from above, marking every corner, every tree, every blind spot. Years in uniform had taught him one truth: ground decides outcomes. He divided the land into sectors. Sector 1, the road and gate. Sector 2, the front yard and porch. Sector 3, the backyard, shed, and garden. Sector 4, the forest approach. Skull had said 1 week. Men like him loved theater, fire at night, screams, darkness. Alexei circled Saturday on the calendar. Day 1 began with the fence. The fence was high, solid, but climbable. Alexei didn't add barbed wire. That would signal preparation. Instead, he worked where eyes wouldn't look. In the tall grass along the inside perimeter, he hammered short wooden stakes into the ground. Between them, he stretched thin steel wire at ankle height, nearly invisible, unforgiving when rushed through. It wouldn't stop anyone. It would make them fall. Day 2 was the garage. Beneath the inspection pit, hidden behind old boards, lay his reserve, not weapons, but tools, wires, motion sensors, halogen floodlights salvaged years ago from decommissioned machinery. He tested every connection. Power surged clean and strong. The shotgun came next, legal, registered, cleaned until the metal shone softly. Then the knife, the old one, army steel, heavy, honest. He tested the edge on paper. It cut without sound. Day 3 and 4 blended together. Alexei worked like an ordinary man fixing a house, repaired steps, cleaned gutters, dug in the garden. Anyone watching would see nothing strange. Under the windows, he buried boards lined with nails, points upward, covered with dead leaves. Near the shed, he dug a shallow pit, filling it with water and used motor oil, masking it with branches and turf. 1 step into it would steal balance, time, dignity. Time was everything. Day 5 was electricity. He wired motion sensors to floodlights positioned to blind, not illuminate. Anyone stepping into the yard would be met with sudden white daylight, burning eyes already accustomed to darkness. He routed switches so he controlled when night would break. He slept little. Day 6 came quietly. Alexei stood in the middle of the yard at dusk, listening. The forest breathed behind the fence. The house loomed solid and patient. Everything was ready. He turned off all lights and went inside. The house waited. So did he. Saturday night arrived without drama. No wind, no rain. The kind of calm that makes sounds travel far and nerves stretch thin. Alexei sat in the dark kitchen, fully dressed, boots on, shotgun resting against the wall within arm's reach. The lights were off. From the outside, the house looked abandoned, a dark, silent shape against the trees. Just after midnight, the ground began to hum. Engines. Not rushing, confident, exactly as he had predicted. 2 SUVs turned off the highway and rolled toward the gate, headlights off now, silhouettes gliding through the darkness. Gravel crunched softly, doors opened, voices low, amused, careless. They thought this was a formality. Alexei didn't move. The first man reached the fence and swung a leg over. His foot caught the wire. The fall was ugly, sudden, loud. A curse tore through the night, followed by confusion. What the hell? That was when Alexei flipped the switch. Light exploded across the yard. Blinding white floodlights turned night into day, erasing shadows, stealing vision. Men shouted, hands flying to their eyes, instincts collapsing under sensory overload. A second man rushed forward blindly and screamed. Nails. Boot leather gave way. Blood hit dirt. He dropped, clawing at the ground, panic rising fast. Alexei moved. He didn't run. He advanced the way he had been trained, low, controlled, economical. The shotgun barked once, not aimed to kill, but to command space. The sound alone shattered confidence. Men scattered, tripping over each other, over wires, over fear. Someone tried to flank from the back, cutting toward the shed. The pit swallowed him. He went down hard, legs stuck, body twisting, curses turning to panic as he realized he couldn't free himself. Oil and water soaked his clothes, stealing strength and balance. "Skull!" someone shouted. "This is a trap!" Skull stood frozen near the gate, eyes wide now, scanning the yard that had turned hostile. This wasn't fire and screams. This wasn't a helpless homeowner. This was a prepared position. Alexei stepped into view. No shouting, no threats, just presence. Skull recognized it instantly, the posture, the eyes, the calm that didn't belong to civilians. "You're military," Skull said hoarsely. Alexei didn't answer. Another shot thundered into the ground near Skull's feet. Gravel sprayed. The message was clear. Leave. 2 men dragged the injured one away. Another limped, leaving a dark trail behind him. No one looked back. No one argued. Skull hesitated for one final second, then spat again, this time in fear. "This isn't over," he muttered. Alexei finally spoke. "It is." They fled. Engines roared, tires screamed, and the SUVs tore back onto the highway, carrying blood, pain, and a lesson they hadn't expected to learn. The silence that followed was deep, honest. Alexei stood in the yard for a long time, listening to his own breathing, feeling the tension drain from his body. Slowly he turned off the lights, one by one, returning darkness to its place. By morning, neighbors whispered. By evening, the story had grown teeth. By the end of the week, Skull's name stopped being spoken with confidence. The house remained. A year later, children rode bicycles past the gate again. Lena's laughter returned to the kitchen. Katya played on the porch, where the glass had once shattered. The 1990s moved on, but the lesson stayed. Some men don't run. Some houses don't burn, and some land remembers who stood for it.